My regards. Last summer, everyone was interested in him, and he was one of the champions of the summer signings, Caicedo, who went from Brighton to Chelsea in a record deal in the history of the English Premier League. The player during last season, when you saw his numbers, said, "Wow," and anyone who watched his matches said, "This is the discovery of the season." So much so that after only half a season, Arsenal wanted to buy him from Brighton and put pressure on the player, but this transfer failed. This summer everyone thought he was going to Liverpool, but Chelsea suddenly entered and kidnapped him and became their share of approximately £115 million. Chelsea needed to sign Caicedo, and this made expectations of him high. Everyone who saw Caicedo last season expected him to have a great impact on Chelsea, but so far no one feels his presence. So what happens with Caicedo? The player that Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea wished for, and so far we do not hear any nice words about him, unlike last season, and perhaps his first problem is that he plays for Chelsea in a club that has complex, difficult circumstances. The team has not yet reached the system and form that Pochettino wants. So far, what has been proven 100% on 11 key players in the method of building the team was hasty to the point that Chelsea was paying money for players, and when they arrived in the team the media was confused. Is this a key player or a bench player? Because the chaos wasted everyone, and Caicedo came to an unstable system and he is a player. A midfielder, not an attacking midfielder, a late midfielder whose primary role is to move the ball to the final third. His primary role is to control the tone of the match. And when everything is changing around him in this way, it is difficult to stand out. Also, Caicedo came with a record deal, a very large sum, but he is neither a striker nor an attacking winger, nor an advanced midfielder to make decisive passes. I simply mean Caicedo, for people to talk good things about him, Chelsea must win. Caicedo, in order to play more comfortably, Chelsea must win, and therefore his fate is linked to the fate of the team. More than if they bought a striker who scored 30 goals, for example, and the team lost all the matches. People will say that this is a scorer, but the team is weak, and as a result of Chelsea's results were not good and unstable, and the team's entire system is not good and is not clear yet. The pressure on Caicedo has become greater and he has a part of the restriction that he expresses himself like when he was working with Brighton, because as I said, the fate of a player like Caicedo is linked to the fate of his team's results. Of course, as we know, Caicedo also did not go through the preparation period with the Chelsea players, he did not deal with the coach for a while, and he also has little experience in the Premier League. Yes, he shined last year, but this is his only year in England, so perhaps it is very natural that his start with Chelsea is less than expected, and as I said, when Chelsea starts winning, people will start to see more of the bright side of Caicedo. Also there is something else. It makes you say that Caicedo has a chance yet to turn the tables and succeed by making a remontada on himself. Namely, the long-term contract that links him to Chelsea. This means that perhaps the Chelsea management, yes, was buying like crazy, and yes, the goal of the long contracts was to manipulate the law of fair financial play, but perhaps they were also aware that the chaotic and random method of assembling players that they followed needs time to stabilize and harmonize. When you gather 20 players together, not one of them knows the other, anywhere, or with any team. They certainly need time to start playing with each other. Perhaps what Caicedo needs so far is time, in addition to the improvement in Chelsea's results, to see a good version of the player who has become the most expensive player in the history of the English Premier League, and who the good news for the player is that the Chelsea administration is not in a rush, even with the coach, and is not asking him for anything now. This means that Caicedo may have a chance to deal with the coach for a long time until they find the best formula for him to be an excellent player on the field, and as I said, his real problem is that he plays in a place. There is nothing in it that will attract the attention of the audience. The team's results improve, and then people start looking for its positives. Like when Brighton was shining, people began to pay attention to Caicedo after Brighton's string of results became long. In the beginning, people saw those with an offensive nature more than those with a defensive character.